I think this maps to any technical position, and certainly in programming as well. Lifespan of, or a work span of maybe 40 years total. So 75% of it, people won't be doing engineering or technical work. They'll be managing people, they'll be planning projects, they'll be communicating, they won't be doing keyboard work. It is these non-technical qualities that interest me. So as I go into an interview process, there's some points to ponder. Okay? In my world, programmers are no more or less important than project managers, administrators, marketers, salespeople. It's that blend of people that I need to run a successful company. On my list of attributes, technical ability is low, simply because I'm not a technical person. I wouldn't know clean code from dirty code. That's not where my area of expertise is, so I can't properly evaluate it. I look for other attributes. We are a Python shop, but Python is just one of many tools that we use to build engaging websites. I don't care that you hate Microsoft and everything they stand for. And likewise, I don't care that you hate PHP and all it stands for. I'll preface this by saying I care a little bit, but perhaps not for the reasons that you might think. Internet Explorer holds at or near 50% of the browser market share. As a web development firm, it is more important that our sites appear properly in Internet Explorer than Firefox or any other browser. If you go on a hate rant, which has happened a number of times on Microsoft, I'm thinking to myself, is this really the guy? Because it's a big part of what we do. Are you ever going to test your work in IE? Those are what's running through my head. Similarly, we are an open source shop, and we do everything in Python and in Django. But because we're an open source web developer, we can't avoid PHP, and we get some inbound inquiries for PHP. Can you lend a hand? I want to make sure that the people that I bring in might be able to help in that, because I'm a small organization. In fact, truth be told, I will bait candidates at times with this to see how far underneath the surface a rant might be. Something like, Microsoft, what do you think about them? And it's kind of amazing what might ensue after that. And I've had 5 or 10 or maybe even 15 minutes rants going on, and I'm looking at my watch at that point. Okay, I promised you some rules, and we're going to get into them quickly. Rule 1, write well. I'm going to give a couple examples. Oops, yes, okay. This is a cover letter. My knowledge learned at school and the attitude of get it done through my own and class projects have led me that a programmer is what I would like to do in my entire life. You are looking for people who are innovative and unique. To be the kind of people, there should be uniqueness, the way to think problems deeply, and the way to see problems, blah, blah, blah. Okay, another example. And this one, on a resume, under the subheading of communications. Have improved technical writing to a good standard during the academic course and constantly being used for various projects at commercial work. You're done at this point. Look, writing is a life skill. Okay, I don't care if you're a Python programmer or a ditch digger or an astronaut. You need to know how to put together a proper sentence and write well. I don't have, at this point in the process, I don't have that many data points on you, right? Okay, I have a resume and maybe a cover letter. And consequently, those hold an abundance of importance as I'm weeding through. And it is really important that you write well. The other thing to keep in mind is, while I want you to be able to write well, these documents you don't have to write in a vacuum. Surely you know someone who can put eyes to it, can proof your resume, can help you write a resume, and to make sure that you are putting together complete sentences. I wrote for 5 years, I was an internet columnist for a group of 48 newspapers. 5 years I did this, and not one word left my desktop until it was reviewed by my girlfriend at the time, and then later my wife. And that's not before it went to publish, that was before it went to the editor, and then it went to publish. Rule number 1, you have to write well, or at least find someone who can help with writing well. Rule number 2, follow directions. Submit resume with cover letter. All of our job postings go out with submit resume with cover letter. Why? Because I don't have that many data points on you right now, and I want to see if you can put together a sentence. Okay, so, my experience, 1/3 of people simply won't submit a cover letter. They'll just submit a resume. Right out of the box, what are you telling me when you do this? You are unwilling to follow directions, you are unable to follow directions. Whatever it is, you're immediately starting off at a disadvantage, right? That's 1/3. Another third do cover letters like this. Hi, I'm interested, my resume is attached. Or howdy, it occurs to me that my resume might interest you. Or my favorite, hey Peters, referring, I'm assuming, to Chris Peters, who's the hiring manager. Please find my resume as an attachment, have a nice time. I'm sure we will. I don't even know if these are humans, quite frankly. This could be a resume bot. This is about the same, pretty much same as no cover letter. 2/3. 1/3 will put together a cover letter, a proper cover letter that provide a narrative about themselves, that provide a narrative as to why they might be good for the position, how they might apply their resume towards a particular posting. Rule 3, stalk not. Look, if it says don't call, don't call. Don't try and hunt down the person who you think's a hiring manager and call and ask for them. Likewise, don't connect with me on LinkedIn. We're not connected, okay? And for God's sakes, don't try and friend me. You're not my friend, and at this point, quite frankly, you're creeping the hell out of me, okay? So just don't stalk. It's perfectly fine if you want to follow up, if you haven't heard anything, utilizing the submission, the email or whatever the recommended submission path, that you say, hey, I'm just following up, I submitted this resume, am I still under consideration? When you have a moment, please contact me. That's fine, absolutely fine, but don't stalk. Yeah, my favorite. Quite frankly, social media is a treasure trove of stupidity, and it's wonderful for a hiring guy, because I don't have the time and money to do a background check, but man, the stuff I can find on social media is really quite something. And this third one is actually, this is one that I found, this isn't one that was submitted, and the language is a little coarse in it, but this is someone in the UK. Oh my God, I hate my job. My boss is a total pervy wanker, always making me do this shit stuff and to piss me off. Wanker. Well, what she forgot is she had friended her boss a couple months earlier. So the response below was from the boss. Hey, he kind of ranted a little bit, but it ended with, pack your stuff, you're done. Don't come to work, and I mean it. Manage your privacy settings if you're looking. And let me tell you something, in Facebook, the setting of friends, that's me, okay? That's anyone. If you think friends of friends somehow limits your network, don't. Friends of friends is a wide swath, and I can get access to anything pretty much. You have 500 friends, I can friend one of them and find out everything, every picture that you have posted. Find and untag really bad behavior. Now, no one here is going to be uploading silly and stupid pictures of themselves, but everyone has a friend, right? Everyone has a friend that they went out partying with who thought it was really funny to like take a picture of you in whatever compromising position and let's throw it up on Facebook, and then they tag you with it. Well, you can go in and untag that and tag that silently. And I suggest you do that if you have any really bad behavior. Because I'm all over Facebook and social media to find out more about you as I try and gather more data points. Rule number 5, less about you. This is a cover letter we received, a cover email, but 3 paragraphs, 7 sentences. Let me overlay. Okay? 7 uses of the word I, 3 uses of the word my, 3 uses of the word me in 7 sentences. Look, I get that if we're going to work together, it has to be mutually beneficial, right? I need to get something out of it, and you do too. But at this point, I don't really care too much about how much you're going to get out of it, and I'm more concerned with how you might be of value to the organization. This happens a lot. See it a lot in like resume objectives. My objective is to work in a web development firm where I can build my personal skill set on these technologies that are important to me. Less about you and a little bit more towards how you might be of benefit to the organization. Rule number 6, come prepared. Okay, business casual, dress business casual. I don't want to see any shorts and sandals. I don't want to see any of those cute tuxedo t-shirts or anything like that. I don't want to see anything that distracts me from you, and you don't want to distract me. I'm not saying you have to wear a suit, but you want to make sure that your attire doesn't distract from the process. I don't want to sit there and be like, okay, remember the guy with the, what possessed you to put the "I'm with stupid" t-shirt on? Haha, funny. So you're talking and I'm like, I'm with stupid? Or looking at the guy with the sandals and the funky toenails? It's just like, that's a big distraction, and you don't need that. Someone once told me a very important rule. It's very hard to overdress. It's easy to underdress. Now, I get that you don't know anything about a lot of the organizations, and that's a decision point. Okay, what am I going to wear? If you're unsure, pick up the phone and call. Pick up the phone and call the organization. Hi, this is Brian Maloney. I have an interview tomorrow. I'm wondering if you can tell me what the dress code is of the organization. I have a small organization. Jen will undoubtedly answer the phone, and she'll tell you exactly what the dress code is. You can ask her what to wear. She has a great style sense, too. She'll be happy to talk with you about that. If you ask her, tell me about this guy, Brian, what's he like? She'll even tell you that, okay? She'll probably, at some point, when I bump into her, say that, hey, David called, and he asked what to wear, and he asked a little bit about you. And I'm thinking to myself, really? David's on the ball. Okay? Absolutely appropriate for you to call, make pre-contact, and ask. In every interview, I start by asking, tell me what you know about imaginary landscape. The most common answer, yeah, not too much. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Really? You didn't visit the website, you have nothing from your interview with Chris that you can tell me about. I'm not looking for you to tell me my strategy, but tell me a little bit. Yeah, you guys big into open source, Python since '99, it's great, really like what's going on here. Tell me a little bit, answer the question. In every interview, I end by asking, do you have any questions for me? Most common answer, yeah, not really. You answered them all, is what I get a lot. No, it's cool, we're great. Okay, again, I say, really, I'm the managing partner of a company that you're wanting to possibly work at, and you have no questions for me. It's a great opportunity. This isn't always about whether I find you as an attractive candidate, right? You have to find me as an attractive employer. And this is an opportunity for you to vet me a little bit. Any question you ask me, I'll provide an answer. And I'm not talking about the canned ones. I'm not talking about the ones where you're like, went to a resume set, went to Monster, and tell me what you want to, what's your strategy for 2 years and 5 years? I don't know what I'm going to do in 5 years. Hopefully I'll be on a beach somewhere. But hey, I'm working on open source projects, and if I work for Imaginary, will I have any opportunity to possibly work on that? You'd be surprised at the answer to that, maybe. Or as you develop things for clients, can we ever take those and contribute them back up to open source projects? Or I like to ride my bike. Can I ride my bike to work? Where do I store, can you store the bicycle here? Or tell me what the process is when someone sells, how does it get to production? Walk me through it. How did Imaginary do through the past, what we're now referring to as the repression of 2008 and 9. How did we fare? I have that information. I'm waiting for you to ask. And take advantage of that. Last thing in the come prepared, accentuate the positive, minimize the negative. Tell me about things that excite you. Don't tell me about things that tick you off. There can be some negative energy. And I'm not talking about the rants. Certainly the rants are inappropriate, but the kind of person you are, the kind of person that you know, it's like there's a glass half full and there's glass half empty. And you have to force yourself to be glass half full so that I get that impression from you. Rule number 7, follow up. Again, it is absolutely appropriate for you to, when you talk with someone, to request their business card. Thanks for sitting down with me, Brian. Do you mind, do you have a business card for me? And most likely I'll go like this. Yeah. It's right here, waiting for you to ask me for it. Very few people actually ask that. Why? Well, my name is Maloney, spelled with an M-O. You send me a thank you letter with M-A, that's a pet peeve of mine, because spell my name right, and this is what my email address is, and this is my title here, and it gives you that information. It's absolutely appropriate for you to ask for that. And then send each of the people that you speak to a thank you card, or a letter, or some email. And highlight something about yourself for the interview. So here's an example. I'll step back. This is a candidate that I was hiring. Right before the interview, I looked at his resume and he had given me an example website. I went there and it threw a 500. So I go into the resume, tell me what you know about Imaginary, blah, blah, blah. Hey, by the way, the website that you gave in your resume threw a server error. He stammered a little bit, but he got over it. I did that kind of on purpose, just to see how he'd handle it. He handled it well. We went on to have a very pleasant interview. This is what he writes. Thank you very, very, very much for meeting with me yesterday, blah, blah, blah. I'm embarrassed that my website was unavailable when you tried to access it earlier, but I've since resolved the issue with it. And he goes on to offer me login credentials. I didn't take him up on the login credentials, but he now works for Imaginary Landscape. Not just on the weight of the follow-up letter, certainly, but this was a contributing factor. 2 in 5 interviewees will actually do this. We'll write a thank you with context about the interview. I had one guy, he hand-delivered a handwritten thank you card, not to me, because that would have been wrong. He came up to Jen at the front desk. Jen, when you have a moment, would you please hand this to Brian? And then he left. Jen came around the corner and said, John just hand-delivered this for you. Didn't ask to see me. He's working for us too. We often ask more than just me to speak with candidates. We have a variety of staff members, project managers, administrators. So if we have a promising candidate, we'll have other people in the company speak with them. And I have an internal evaluation form that, and this is an excerpt from it, that I provide to them. So give me your impressions on this person, demeanor, What's the feel? What's the vibe you get off this person? Does the person put you at ease? Is this person genuine? Is this person commanding? Would you trust this person? Aesthetics. How did they dress? How were they groomed? What was their posture? Were they well-spoken? Delivery, fast and loud or kind of soft and slow? Was there eye contact? Was there relaxed? Technical background, certainly. Do they have the technology, the deep smarts of technology that we require in order to do the job? And then the ability to communicate. Can they take complicated technical topics and explain it to you in a way that you understand it without making you feel like you're being talked down to or condescended, which can happen sometimes. And that's an important aspect, and that's how we evaluate whether you're able to interact internally. Externally, too, we're a small organization, right? So I send technical staff occasionally on site unsupervised at client sites. Not too often, but sometimes. There are certainly phone calls, conference calls, where a project manager will bring in a technical resource with a client. There are face-to-face meetings with clients. There are actually at times face-to-face meetings with prospects. How well are you going to represent the company in that environment? Oops, wrong way, sorry. All right, so I want to leave you with a parting thought. Look, we've been a Python shop since 1999. We love open source. I love the open source sensibilities, and particularly I love the commitment of those drawn to it. This is a special group here. This meeting is just filled with some fantastic energy, some wonderful commitment. I love it. But when the day is done, my responsibility is to the health and well-being of my company. Technical skill is important, no doubt. But no matter how technically skilled you are, if you can't get along with staff, if you can't construct a proper sentence, if I can't confidently put you in a client-facing position, you won't make the cut at Imaginary Landscape. You have to give me a chance to get, so again, summarizing up, you have to give me the chance to get to know you, okay? You don't do any of the knucklehead stuff that I've shown you here. Make sure that you follow through on the suggestions that I've given you, so you present yourself as a well-rounded individual. The best employee I have is a blended employee, right? There's no question that you're going to be a starting player on the Python team. But what can you come off the bench and help me with? Okay? Systems administration, that happens a lot with the Python community, with people coming to us. That's great. But what else? You know, PHP a little bit, maybe in the dim dark past. Maybe you don't hate it so bad that maybe for a little bit you'll help me. That's helpful to me. Project manager. I want you to blog. I want you to write about technical stuff on our blog. I want you to do good documentation. So a blended skill set with life skills is really important. Don't assume that your technical skills will carry you through the process. Follow the rules, and you'll certainly increase your chances of getting hired at Imaginary Landscape or any firm like Imaginary Landscape. So I end. Thank you very much, everyone. I know I'm pretty much close to the end. I have just a minute or so left. If anyone has any questions, feel free. I am an exhibitor here. In fact, I have some pretty good swag. I don't know if anyone's seen this. The stamped PyCon 2001 bottle opener keychain, to be used responsibly. You may come down to our booth and see this as well. Talk with Chris if you'd like. If you want to go into open space, come and talk to me. I'm happy. As I said, both in interviewees and here, you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer. Okay? Thank you all very, very much.
Brian, you said before that we should follow instructions with the cover letter. What about if they're asking what remuneration do you want? What would you do there? Because it is a negotiation about, the money.
Yeah, no one expects you to answer. No one expects you to actually answer that question directly, unless you're like IBM or whatever. I don't ask the question. I've seen people who do. I think it's okay. The best non-answer I've seen to that is, I sort of broaden out the answer, saying it's like, compensation consists not only of base salary, but of benefits and lifestyle and those sorts of things. And I'd love to discuss your mix of all those factors towards possibly me working there. So it's a nice way of addressing it, but sidestepping it, and sort of like, look, I don't want to answer the question, but I recognize that there's more to it. You know, Imaginary Landscape, we pay 100% of health care for you and your spouse and all your children. You know, that costs money, and that's a nice benefit that you don't have very often. So that factors into it, as does the fact that we're not, so there are other factors. My suggestion to you is to professionally avoid, the answer, and just say, like, I'd like to discuss it, because in my mind, compensation is a blend of things.
And also, when you interview, you say at the end, have you got any questions for me? Is it all right to ask who was in the position before? What's the fluctuation in the department? Why are you hiring somebody for this position?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are all valid. Whoa! Sorry about that. I'll stand over here now. Sorry. Those are absolutely valid questions, and I would encourage you to ask those, and even more probing questions. I wasn't kidding when I said, how is it, look, you're a small company. How financially stable are you? How did you handle the last couple of years? Did you lay anyone off over the last couple of years? And those are appropriate questions too, because I take it seriously. We have to match, and it's a double-ended thing. Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for giving the talk.
You're welcome.
So I've been asked a few times in interviews, how much do you want to make? And to me, I'm like, well, $1 million, but...
Yeah.
And it seems like if I give a number out, well, if it's too high, then I'm definitely not getting the job. But if it's too low, then I'm getting the short end of the stick. So what should I say without giving a number?
You can ask a question with a question. What was the compensation of the person who held this position before? This might be a job category. A programmer in a larger firm, it's maybe a pay scale. Can you give me the range of the typical pay scale for this position at this company? It's a ridiculous question. How much do you want to make? I would tend to be like, about 2.3 million would be great. Do you have another question for me? You can't be that flippant though, but it's sort of like, that's not a very good question. But I would answer that question with the question of relating it back to them. So what was the person making? What was the range that the company in the past has paid for this? And I know it depends on experience, but can you give me some assistance? That's a relative, that's as appropriate a question as them asking you what you want to make. Bottom line, you also can be, I've had people do this too. I want to make, $72,500. And I want to do that because in my last job, I was making $67,000, and I need that amount to make the jump. I've had people come across that way as well. And, when all is said and done, you have an answer to that. Sure, you want to make $200,000, right? But the question isn't how much you want to make. It's sort of like, give me a sense, because I need to know kind of where we're at. I don't want to go down a path too deep if our expectations are off. But I would turn it around.
I'm afraid that's going to be time. The other folks would like to talk to Brian. He'll be at booth for Imaginary Landscape.
And I'm here too. Yeah, I'm just going to unplug.